You guys know Best Drummer here. So, this is part 20, probably. I'll figure it out in editing. This is part 20 of my Contempt of Court Let's Play. We are about to go into the trial for this case, which is Turnabout of the Snow. I have to be honest, this case seems far more interesting than the other two. Like, already off the bat, I'm already into it. I love that Vex Vulper is getting... he's getting a star role here. He's fucking insane. I love it. I'm loving it so far. I love the mystery. So let's just get into it, shall we? Morning, Phoenix. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed today. Sorry? You feeling alright this morning? Yeah? Not in any way tired, weary, or any form of fatigue which might hamper concentration? I'm fine, Detective. Thank you. Good. So how did last night's interrogation go? Did Vulper give any more info on the murder? That's where I'll have to end this conversation. You see, I'll be giving testimony about how the interrogation went in today's trial. But between you and me, I'll give you a small teaser for what's to come. Absolutely nothing. Waste of time. Useless. Gee, I wonder if it went well at all. To be honest, I think you're with a spot of luck today. A spot of luck? How do you mean? This murder doesn't seem overly complicated at first glance. Maybe it's possible that it really is as straightforward as it seems. I was thinking that myself. This case does seem open and shut compared to many others. Say, where's Detective Snow today? Since he's not directly tied to this particular case, he's still in detention. Besides, he's your client for the Perry Docks murder, not the Maplethorpe one. But he said that he'd be testifying today. He and the other victim found the body, after all. I'll be off back to the prosecutor's lobby now. He practically ran out of the room. That was a really awkward conversation. Court will commence in 3 minutes. It's always 3 minutes. Right, it's time for Vulper's trial to begin. Will he be found guilty straight away, or is there a bigger picture of this crime? From experience, I'd probably say the latter, but I'm not holding my breath. So how is this going to work? Because we're obviously not defending Vulper. I guess we'll see. What the fuck? What am I doing here? Okay. Court is now in session for the trial of Vex Vulper. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very good, Mr. Brisbane. Is the prosecution ready? Well, this certainly puts me in quite a predicament. I came back to this courtroom with intent to face Mr. Wrong once again, after all. He bested me twice in court already. But something interesting was brought to my attention. The suspect would be none other than Vex... I can't even say his name without invoking a gag reflex. So, now I have a choice to make. Help Mr. Wrong in taking down that freak, or stay true to my intent to defeat Mr. Wrong in court? Oh, and Mr. Wrong. You said Mr. Wrong far many 2 times for my liking? Yes. You better not be defending that evil little rat. Mr. Brisbane, the circumstances surrounding this trial have been made clear to you already. I suppose I should repeat this for the benefit of the court, however... Ladies and gentlemen of the court, today's trial is indeed a peculiar one, as the prosecution has stated. As a known criminal who is already serving a life sentence for murders of 3 people, I believe Vex Vulper needs no introduction. He's been accused by the police of murdering another recent inmate in his neighboring cell. Because of his disreputable standing, Mr. Vulper failed to obtain a lawyer to represent him today. Under normal circumstances, a trial would not have commenced until he had an attorney. But seeing as his past convictions have already have him serving a life sentence in prison, we have decided to make an exception. Mr. Wright is not here to defend, but rather to find the truth. Today, the prosecution and defense are to work together to determine whether or not Mr. Vulper is guilty of the crime of which we are aware. Are we now clear, Mr. Brisbane? Fine, I'll do it. But don't think this is over between us, Mr. Wrong. I will crush you when I next get the chance. Is that really all he cares about? Defeating me? And for what? Then I suppose the prosecution is ready also, Your Honor. Very well. Do you have an opening statement? Ladies and gentlemen, the man on the trial today is a renowned mass murderer. I speak for everyone when I say that he has more than proven himself to be so. Therefore, there can be no doubt that he is clearly the perpetrator of this crime. You're absolutely right. That guy must have done it. I knew something not going wrong. Order in the court. While I agree that the prosecution's reasoning is understandable,
The results of the crime scene must be addressed in order to reach a just conclusion.
Just a conclusion, my eye.
Now then, do we have any witnesses to bring to the stand?
There wasn't a witness who saw the crime happen, so I will call the detective in charge of investigations, of course. Renwick Smith. That guy's overly casual behavior was bugging me quite a bit yesterday.
Very well, the court calls this detective to the stand.
Come now, let's move this along quickly. Name an occupation. Hey, I said name an occupation.
Renwick Smith, homicide detective.
So it is. Long time no see, Renwick.
Too long, Errol. Too long.
Huh? Do these two know each other? Now then, you investigated the crime scene that morning.
Detective Snow was the first to stumble upon the scene half an hour after the murder occurred. But as you know, he's in custody under the suspicion of murdering that officer. So the responsibility was passed down on to me.
Very well. Why don't you begin by telling us about the crime itself?
That sounds like a good place to start. Detective, if you please.
We have reason to believe that Vex Vulper murdered a prisoner. Another prisoner, I mean. The guy was in the neighboring cell. Marble flower or something similar.
Hold on, detective. I'm sure I've seen that young man's face somewhere before.
Young? Bro, this guy looks like a ghoul. Looks like the Grim Reaper. What do you mean, young? Young man? Just what is young according to the judge anyway? Cedric Mapplethorpe, Your Honor. He was found guilty of a murder not so long ago.
Why, of course. Wait a minute. He was murdered?
He was strangled from behind with a piece of wire. When the body was discovered, Vulper was placed under arrest as the suspect.
Why, I think I have it. I believe I'm ready to hand down my verdict.
But weren't you the one who said that we need to address the investigation first?
Excuse me. I was getting carried away there for a moment. Would you begin your testimony for us, detective?
I highly doubt that Vulper could have gotten away with a more complicated crime. Especially seeing as he's been in a prison cell for almost a month. Whoa. Is this Dual Destiny music? The fuck? What the hell? When was this game made again? I forget. I forget when this game was actually made. That actually surprised the hell out of me.
The autopsy states that the murder happened around 1:30 a.m. We were alerted about an hour later. Fuck. Cedric Mapplethorpe was dead, slumped against the bar separating his cell from Vulper's. As you can see in this photo, he was strangled with a piece of garrote wire. The same piece of wire we found wrapped around one of the bars. The body was close to the bars, so Vulper could have easily reached through with the wire. Motive? He's a deranged psychopath with an already apparent murder record.
A very informative testimony. Thank you, Detective Smith.
Oh, and if I may, I'd like to submit this.
What's this?
It's a floor plan of the crime scene, Your Honor. The positions of the killer and the victim are placed on the evidence of the crime.
Oh, I see. Very well. The court accepts this into evidence. Is the defense ready to begin the cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Since I'm not defending Vulper, any contradictions I find could either help or hinder him. Let's see what this cross-examination uncovers. This is cool as hell. Like, we're not exactly defending him, but we're not, like, prosecuting him either. We're just trying to find out the truth. That's so fucking cool. I love this. It feels weird to go from, like, disliking this game to loving it, like, within an instant. But this case is just so much more interesting than the other two. I don't know. Maybe it's the bias in me that loves the Dual Destiny music. I don't know. That's true. I don't think that really matters. I don't think that really matters. I want to press this. And this is evident by the deep red mark around the victim's neck, yes?
I'm going to say yes.
Oh, good. I had that answer too.
As you can see, the wire cut into his neck quite a bit, drawing blood. The victim's blood is also on this wire.
That's where you found the murder weapon? Sounds kind of strange to me.
Strange, Mr. Wright.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not jumping to Vulper's defense here. But if he was the one who used this wire to strangle Mapplethorpe, Why would he leave it between the bars in plain sight? Don't you find it strange that he would leave the weapon out in the open? And in his own cell, no less? He could have hidden the wire somewhere more secretive, but it wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference.
How so, Mr. Brisbane?
Vulper could have hidden the wire in the most elusive place in his cell, but eventually the police would have found it. So in other words, where the wire was found doesn't change Vulper's guilt.
He has a point, but
Wasn't there some way for Vulper to dispose of the wire after using it? That's not the point. But to answer your question, there was no way he could have done that. Think about it. He was in a confined cell. Where on earth could he have gotten rid of it?
what about the window?
There was a barred window in his cell. He could have easily thrown the wire through the window to get rid of it. Do you think the police are that stupid? They'd have checked the ground outside the window if that were the case. Throwing a weapon out the window doesn't exactly hide it, does it?
Oh. I'm not quite sure I'm seeing the point of this. Mr. Wright, your argument is that if Mr. Vulper had a way to dispose of this wire, he would have done so, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, but it's just logic, really.
I want to agree with you, Mr. Wright, but I have to be sure. Was there a way that he could have disposed of the wire?
Let me look at this. Maybe if you threw it down the sink. I don't know. But you know what? I don't want to lose any health, so I'm gonna save. God, I'm scared that this case is gonna have bad contradictions and logic again. But you know what? It's fine. I'll deal with it. Yes, I believe there was.
Very well, use the floor plan to point it out, fuck. Please show the court a way that the murder weapon could have been disposed of.
I'ma say the sink.
What am I looking at here, Mr. Wright?
There is a sink unit in each cell, which is what these semicircle shapes represent.
Wait a minute. You mean...
I do, Your Honor. If Vulper was looking to dispose of the murder weapon, this wire, simply throwing it out the window wouldn't have hidden it, as the police would have found it outside. So then, how? How could he have been able to get rid of the wire for good? By easing it down the plug hole of the sink unit.
Indeed, a wire of that length and thickness.
You see, Vulper had a way of getting rid of it, but why leave it in the open instead? Unless he didn't know anything about it. I admit I never noticed the sink's possible use as a disposal unit for the wire. But it still doesn't change a single damn thing. He was the one who used the wire to kill the victim. But if he had a way to get rid of the weapon, it's possible that he had nothing to do with the wire. And that, Mr. Wrong, is where you just slipped up. Honestly, I'm surprised and disgusted at how defensive you seem to be of that red-haired freak. I'm not. I'm just exploring all possibilities. We have to be sure, after all. So you say they didn't know about the wire. Vulper didn't know about the wire. Renwick, bring out the DNA results. You mean these?
DNA results, you say?
We had the wire examined thoroughly, and that included searching for traces of DNA. We detected 2 traces of DNA, both found on either side of the wire, meaning that whoever's DNA this is, they gripped it with both hands for use of garroting the victim.
And the results are...
Need you ask? They were a perfect match for Vex Vulper.
Order, I say. Then it would seem that Mr. Vulper was the perpetrator of this crime.
Which is what I've been saying all this time. Vulper's case certainly isn't in his favor right now. It still baffles me as to why he left the murder weapon in the open like that. When I just proved that he had a way to dispose it all this time. Maybe he just didn't think of it? Say, Renwick, I've got a question for you.
What is it?
From what I understand, the initial interrogation of Vulper didn't go well. Didn't you say that you gave him another interrogation yesterday?
Oh, I get it. You want me to testify about the interrogation, right?
Unless Mr. Wrong has a problem with that. Good, Judge.
No, of course.
The floor is yours, Detective. Tell us how the freak's second interrogation went, as well as the results it procured.
Sure thing. You're in for a disappointment, though.
Detective Smith hinted that the interrogation didn't go well in the court lobby. What went wrong? And did he manage to uncover anything new?
Since the first interrogation brought about no results, we tried again with more officers. After more crazy gibberish, he eventually said something. The killer is no one. You see, an absolute waste of time and manpower. Once again, we had to resort to trusting the evidence. It had to be Vulper. We have no other leads.
The killer is no one.
All we could get out of him, and it was just a phrase of cryptic nonsense. I think he's just wasting our time.
Certainly looks that way. You may begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Okay, that's not important. This is important. The killer is no one? What sort of answer is that?
The sort of answer a kook like Vulper would come up with. But sadly, it's the only damn thing he's ever said that makes any coherent sense. It still makes no sense.
The killer is no one. I wonder if it means something. Actually, I think I'm giving him too much credit.
And that's all he had to say for himself.
The only thing of any worth, Your Honor. Much more useful than planning to crump away.
Oh no, what have I started? Sure sounds like it was.
Detective. Mr. Wright, do you have any idea why he's not listening?
I know. It's Detective Smith's clever way of saying that I'm wasting my time pressing this. It's because the statement isn't worth pressing. And he refuses to dignify Mr. Wrong's press with an answer.
It doesn't sound like a very important statement to be focusing on, I suppose.
Okay, well, fuck you, too.
Continue with your testimony, Detective.
And what does the evidence say?
The garrote wire, the position of the body, the lack of regard for covering it all up.
Do Vulper read no other leads? Are you sure we aren't missing out on any other important people?
The only people involved are Robert Snow, Perry Docks, and Vex Vulper. Detective Snow discovered the body at the beginning of his prison guard shift with Perry Docks. And evidence-wise, Vulper is the only one who could have done it.
Were there any witnesses at all? What about the other prisoners, for instance?
None. You see, Block A has no other prisoners.
What?
There were no other prisoners? Why ever not?
Vulper and Mapplethorpe were the only inmates of Block A. Not too long ago, the chief arranged a mass transfer of prisoners to other sectors.
I remember there were no other prisoners around when I investigated yesterday. But I thought it was just for investigation purposes. But why did the chief of police move all prisoners from Block A except for those two?
I don't know all the details, but apparently because they were a threat to the other inmates.
A threat? They're locked away in cells.
Hey, don't shoot the messenger. If you got a problem with it, take it up with the chief.
But why didn't the chief just simply move Mapplethorpe and Vulper into solitary confinement? Surely it must have been a lot of less hassle than moving all the other prisoners out into another block.
Another good question.
So due to the chief of police's decision to transfer all of the other prisoners, nobody was around to witness the murder?
Right, meaning that only one person and one person alone could have committed this murder.
You see, it could have only been him.
Well now, I certainly don't find this situation surprising in the slightest, thanks to both the evidence presented to this court, as well as the testimonies of Detective Smith. Mr. Vulper isn't in a very favorable light right now.
When was he ever in a favorable light?
Indeed. Mr. Wright, are there any more witnesses we need to hear from before we get too hasty?
Detective Snow did say that he was going to testify about discovering the body. I'd like my client, Detective Robert Snow, to take the stand, Your Honor.
Your client?
For the Docks murder, Your Honor. He also discovered the body of Cedric Mapplethorpe, which is why I'd like him to testify.
Oh, I see. His testimony would certainly be invaluable to us in that regard. Bring him in at once.
Name and occupation, please. Robert Snow, homicide. What, no witty pun name this time?
You're a suspect of one of the murders, Detective, in Orange.
Long story, Your Honor. Tomorrow's witness will explain everything.
Very well. Now, I've been told that you discovered the victim's body. Would you mind testifying about the moment you stumbled upon the scene?
Not at all. This testimony will most likely be how I heard it yesterday. I was one of the officers on duty at the prison that night. Me and Officer Perry Docks were just passing by when we saw Mapplethorpe dead in his cell. After noticing the body's position, as well as the wire, the conclusion was that Vulper did it. This happened about half an hour after the approximated time of the murder. Short testimony.
I see. So you and the other victim were together that night?
Yeah, just doing the patrols. It's an around-the-clock thing.
I can only imagine how scary it must be patrolling a prison so late at night. Yeah, well, there was a steal on the job description. There was a steal indeed. Mr. Wright, you may begin the cross-examination. There was a steal? The prisoners were moved. Right, now we're about to hear about the crime scene when the body was first discovered. Will there be anything new to add to this trial? We'll find out. That's not important. That's probably important. What did you see? The body, for one. You'd be surprised at how many prisoners pretend to be dead and make a break for it. So we entered carefully. That was when we saw the red mark around Cedric's neck. Our attention was then drawn to the piece of wire wrapped around one of the bars. There are quite a few things I want to know about this particular statement. What should I ask about? Yeah, what the fuck was Vulper? What was Vulper doing? So what was Vulper doing this whole time? What any sane person would be doing at 2 in the morning? Oh wait. In any case, Vulper was asleep, with not a care in the world. Mr. Wright, is this statement of any use to you? No, I don't want it. On second thoughts, probably not. Very well. Resume your testimony, detective. Okay, let's try this again. Ask about something else this time. Body's position. How was the victim's body positioned? Positioned? Did Renwick not show you the photo? Maplethorpe was slumped against the bars with his back to Vulper's cell next door. Mr. Wright, is this statement of any use to you? No. Second thoughts, probably not. Okay. Let's ask the last thing, I guess. How did you find the wire? After finding the body, our eyes were drawn to the bars. The wire was wrapped around one of the bars above Maplethorpe's head. There was blood on it. Mr. Wright, is a statement... What is going on here? Sure. Yes, Your Honor. I would like Detective Snow to add this to his testimony. Detective, would you amend your testimony with this information? I will indeed. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure I can add things to the testimonies I need. According to the autopsy report, I assume. Duh. We didn't know at the time, obviously. Looks like Doc still doesn't know, seeing as he was killed too. Since Perry Dox was killed, Snow is the only other person who found Maplethorpe's body. To be sure, I need to find out what Snow remembers about the condition of the scene. Okay. So... I need to remember I can press this stuff. How did you notice the blood? When we entered the cell to check the body, we noticed the wire. Looking at it closer, we saw the blood. Come on, mate. Get with the program. Probably not an important statement after all, then. Shit. Fuck. Okay. You! I want... position. Yes, Your Honor. Sorry, that was probably annoying. Any ideas as to why he was standing so close to Vulper's cell? None whatsoever. My guess is that he was leaning against the bars when Vulper strangled him from behind. It does sound like the most plausible scenario. Since we have no eyewitnesses during the actual time of the incident, we can't say for sure. But looking at the evidence, this is what we came up with. A case where the evidence does indeed speak for itself. Okay, so there's one last thing that I can ask about what Vulper was doing. Sure.
don't know what's going on. Wait. Magatama? I have a feeling I'm about to press one of these and a Magatama is about to appear. I know that doesn't happen in court segments, but still, I don't know. Are you sure he was asleep and not just faking it? That's what I thought at first. Till we woke him up and it was clear that he really was asleep. Huh. Probably not an important statement after all then. Wait. So then, the important one is the position of the body. So, wait, is it? I can't remember. I can't remember now. Oh god. Okay, put it back. And then press it. Okay, so nothing important came out of that. So you patrol the prison in pairs? Yeah, super ultra important security protocol stuff. We were assigned Block A, where the cells of those two happen to be. But wait a minute, I thought that there was a mass transfer of prisoners from Block A. I patrol an empty prison block. Someone had to keep an eye on those two troublemakers. Troublemakers? They're not kids with water guns. Besides, I hadn't heard about the prisoner transfer. Anywho.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Snow.
No problem, but it's incomplete. Since the rest of my testimony bleeds through into the Doc's murder. The officer who arrested me should be able to explain everything.
I see. Nonetheless, thank you anyway. You may step down now.
If Mr. Wrong has no other witnesses, I say we hear from the man of the moment himself.
Agreed. I want Mr. Vulper to really explain himself. The court will now take a 15-minute recess.
So we'll be hearing from Vulper next. So far, the testimonies and evidence all point to him. Did he really do it?
Court is adjourned. Court is back in session. Mr. Brisbane, would you...
Vex Vulper, get your sorry self up here. Now. We all know your name and how much of a scumbag you are. So just get on with...
You do? But I haven't even introduced myself, my boy.
What the...
My name
is Titus Crump. Oh no, he's doing the freaky Crump thing again.
I'm a millionaire of sorts, and therefore don't require what you would class as a job.
Mr. Brisbane, what is he doing?
I don't think I want to know.
Mr. Vulper, we know it is you. Stop playing around and take this seriously. Need I remind you that your very life is on the line? Well, why didn't you say it was me you wanted?
Right, you listen to me closely.
Brisbane, my old friend, it's been too long.
Wait, no, friend? That can't be right. Friend would suggest friendliness or something to that effect. What's the term I'm looking for? Ah, yes.
Cycloptic monovisual pirate captain person.
Oh boy, this is gonna be one hell of a ride.
Silence!
Oh my god. The Blackwell, hold on, let me do my best Blackwell silence impression. Silence!
Silence! If we can get back to the murder now.
Ah, my favorite subject. Apart from me, of course.
You're under suspicion for the murder of Cedric Maplethorpe. In light of the overwhelming evidence against you, how do you plead?
Not guilty. I love his theme so much, oh my god.
You deny the charges?
Yes.
Well, in that case, you'd have no trouble in testifying about what happened, would you?
No. He's turned meek all of a sudden. Maybe the weight of the whole situation has sunk in. Maybe he's just messing with us again. It's so difficult to tell. Yes, I'll testify.
Very well, you may begin.
And if you so much as breathe suspiciously... Damn it, Brisbane, so I took your eye out. Get over it! You got your stupid enigmium back, didn't you? Stop whining. It was a good shot, though, wasn't it? Testimony now! Yes, before Brisbane develops an aneurysm, or the judge for that matter. This is what happened. Okay. The last time I saw Cedric, he was alive. I was asleep as always, only to be woken up by Snow and some other guy. I saw Cedric lying dead on his bed, and they had the nerve to blame me. And then they took me away for interrogation, to fess up to a crime I didn't even commit.
So you're saying that your view of the crime scene was different to what we have been told? I hope this isn't just another waste of our time, Mr. Vulper. Need I remind you you're on very thin ice as it is?
Oh, please. I'm the embodiment of seriousness.
I very much doubt that, but a cross-examination is required nonetheless. Mr. Wright, are you prepared to begin?
I guess so, Your Honor. As close to being prepared as I'll ever be. God, he's just so entertaining. I don't know why. Okay. And when was the last time you saw Maplethorpe? Before I went to sleep. It's lights out at 11 p.m., so we both went to sleep roughly about the same time. Just an ordinary end to a bog standard joyous day in the life of me. But did they say why they woke you up? Oh, yes. They pretty much read me my rights before I even fully regained consciousness. As I was being handcuffed, I happened to glance over at Cedric's cell. He was lying dead on his bed? If he was lying on his bed, how did you know he was dead? Oh, look. Righty Boy's a poet and he doesn't even know it. Wait a minute. That rhymed! I guess I'm a poet too. Will you answer the damn question? Question. What rhymes with question? Are you telling me, or was it just a suggestion? Answer the damn question! Alright. Snow and the other guy said I was under arrest as suspicion of murdering old Cedric. Arresting a prisoner? That's rich. So yeah, that's how I knew he was dead. So I looked over and saw him lying on his bed. What sort of questions were you asked in interrogation? The typical question the police would ask a suspected killer. Stuff like, did you kill him? Did you kill him? And what else? Oh yeah. Did you kill him? Actually, I made that all up. Instead of asking me questions, they were just accusing me. They just kept trying to force me into admitting to it. And my answer wouldn't change because it can't change. Is he telling the truth? I can't even tell what sort of mood he's in. I'll need to take a closer look at his testimony. If he's telling the truth, there should be no problems with it, but there's something in his testimony that doesn't sound right. But what? I guess it's as simple as the diagram not showing up or not being correct. Nope, that's not it. Shit. Damn it. Okay. I'm gonna save just so I don't make any stupid mistakes like that again. Oh, I guess, like, the fact that he's holding a piece of wire, or that he held a piece of wire. Okay, that's not it. I guess that's not it. Okay, maybe I put the wire here. Nope, that's not it. Maybe the photo? Okay, I guess I just had to shove the photo in his face. Vex Vulper. Phoenix Wright. Huh? Oh, sorry. I thought this was the part of the day where we shout out names for no reason. Why do I get the feeling that he's being deadly serious, too? Anyway, I have a problem with your testimony. Eh? You're saying that you saw Maplethorpe lying dead on his bed? Yeah, he was. And that's impossible. Impossible? Impossible as in not possible, the polar opposite of possible?
Yeah, that. As you can see from this photographic body, Mapplethorpe's body was slumped against the bars that separated the two cells. He was not in bed when he was killed. So where did this notion that he was lying in bed come from? He was lying on his bed when I woke up, I swear.
Mr. Vulper, perjury is a serious offense.
But what?
Ha! I knew you were lying all along. Now I'm gonna finish what Snow and Doc started. Declare you guilty now and put an end to this time-wasting travesty of a trial. No! Everybody listen to me now! That Smith guy's talking crap. That wasn't how it happened.
You're saying the detective is lying about his testimony? Mr. Wright, what do you think we should do?
Vulper seems adamant about saying that he saw the crime scene differently to everybody else. Is he telling the truth? There's only one way to find out. I say we hear him out, Your Honor. If he claims to be telling the truth that the crime scene was in a different condition, we can only find out through further testimony. Are you out of your mind? Am I the only one in this room with a brain?
Quite the contrary, Brisbane. You're the one in the room who isn't using their brain.
What did you say?
Throughout this trial so far, you haven't put any thought into anything. You're not interested in finding the truth. You just want to get Vulper guilty as quickly as possible. As I stated many times already, I'm not defending Vulper as per the conditions of this case. Being a mass murderer, I admit that he is most likely the perpetrator of this crime. But unless we examine the case thoroughly, how will we know for sure? We're here today to find out what happened in the prison that night, not to blindly persecute. Your mentor, Manfred von Karma, it's obvious that you've picked up his manner of prosecuting. You don't bother looking for the truth. Instead, you stoop to his level of prosecuting, using intimidation to get your way. And when you don't, you throw tantrums like a spoiled child.
Damn, go off. I'd like to request further testimony, Your Honor.
Him? God damn, you murdered him with words. Yes, of course. Mr. Vulper, if you'd be so kind.
At least someone wants to listen to me. You're my new best friend, Phoenix Wright.
Hey, don't get carried away.
No friends to the end. Then end to the friends.
Testimony now.
Yeah, I can do that. Wait, you mean testimonies and telling you what I know? Or do you mean testimony as in ammonia being tested? What the hell is ammonia anyway? And why do they need to be tested so much?
Would you like me to declare you guilty right now and have you sent to the death row?
The first one it isn't. The judge is really losing his patience with Vulper. No doubt this will affect the verdict. But what does Vulper mean by things aren't the way he remembers? How is the crime scene different through his eyes?
And you know what? We're going to find that out next time. So, next episode, we're going to listen to what he remembers about the crime scene and see if he's telling the truth or not.